2, 1. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, going in the Golden Triangle, guns blazing and gung-ho like fucking Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker a la Lian Carter from Rush Hour, sounds good on paper or in a movie, but in reality leads to a lot of civilian casualty, escalation, and rising geopolitical tension in an otherwise already very volatile environment. Meaning, their side might call it collateral damage or doing what has to be done because this has been so entrenched. But the question I have is, there must be a reason China, unilaterally and even as a coalition, haven't gone in full violence, guns blazing. I wonder why. Because people are gonna fucking die, right? And we think that the very fact and nature of human trafficking and gambling is that it's not like, hello po, I am gambler number 5, I'm the head of the operation, or hello, I am brothel number 4, my guy is in the upper floor, you can go to him. No, these are so cloaked and shrouded in mystery, especially as the debate characterizes this to have very deep connections to China and the CCP, which makes it even so difficult to be able to do this particularly violent operation. We think, even if this is done well, and this is done in a covert manner, being able to send in like spies to take them out and do this in a violent assassination kind of way, this in principle is an overstep of Chinese authority and legitimacy, and is likely lead to escalation within the region for every border part, right? For Laos, for Thailand, for Myanmar, and China. The simple push is that violence begets violence, and we think this is ultimately going to escalate particular things. A couple of features of our model. Number 1, this is a value judgment debate about whether or not China should use violent force, but this also isn't a policy, meaning they don't necessarily have like fiat to say it's all gonna work out. And I think it's completely legitimate. In fact, we think the previous speaker had the burden to mech out what violence is going to happen. But absent that, I think my POI can go through. Because I'm confused, right? Are they gonna do it like violence unilaterally? Are they gonna do violence like together? But like, why would Laos be game if they have vested stake in the socio-economic zone? So this exactly characterizes the situation to being so diametrically opposed, because each nation in this bullshit triangle doesn't like certain sketchy parts, but at the same time has some shady fucking vested interest. Laos being able to enable the SEZ to allow Chinese nationals who are actually high rollers, who actually bankroll the whole operation from China, but as a consequence, if China either as a task force or unilaterally does violence, it's exactly the point in which they're going to be like, wait, but these people are doing it legitimately. So, we think what we want to support in our counterfactual is the creation of a joint task force to be able to do this and crack down and dismantle it in a very overt way, as opposed to being able, in a covert way, as opposed to doing it through violence. We're going to do things like being able to have economic policies to be able to break apart these particular things, both domestically and internationally, to be able to dissuade people and increase the cost of doing business there to the point that it makes it very difficult for them to compete, and these people rather go back to like Macau, for instance, in Hong Kong, or go back to the residential areas to be able to do their operations there, similar to what we did on the Philippines to crack down on Pogo. That's better as opposed to like invading and going inside to be able to take them out. Very simple, right? We think that this should be done in a political and economic way, precisely because of the civilians and foreign nationalities who are a part there and who are likely to get killed in the crossfire in terms of them coming in. Again, even if we take them at their best, that you're able to like assassinate the particular hustlers and the high rollers, etc., to be able to stop this particular thing, this thing is bigger than you and me, it's bigger than the operation, it's bigger than the triangle. Because the motion particularly characterizes how high-level CCP Chinese authorities who might have vested stake in the military or even in political campaigns to be able to be 2 steps ahead of you. Meaning, you're planning this very secret operation of like sting and buy bust. that's exactly where they're likely to be able to hide their servers, wipe these things out, put them underground, and be able to protect and preserve what they've been doing, exactly because they're likely to get wind of what you're doing. Because take a look at what the motion characterizes. This is particularly in China's doing, which is precisely the point in which, if China, as the motion says, as the particular individual or nation here, to be able to come in, that's exactly where it becomes a chase to be able to catch no rabbit. Meaning, even if you cut the head of the snake, it's like a hydra. Two heads come out, another comes out, and another comes out. And that's exactly where you entrench the region in further violence that is particularly harmful. The case that we've talked about so far is quite simple. It's a question about the root cause of this. And the root cause of this is specific to China and the particular countries and not just the Golden Triangle. The Golden Triangle is a symptom of a larger economic, political, and social problem precisely in these particular nations. Which is why unilateral violence or a joint task force of violence is something that won't work and will lead to more civilian casualty and death across these particular things. Which is why, in order for them to be able to have a shot at dismantling this has to be done in a subtle way. We can do things like using Chinese spy balloons to be able to get as much information to be able to know what's happening so that they can compete, so they can go back to city centers like Beijing, Macau, and Shanghai and say, hey guys, here's what the rich bankrollers want, here's how we can make better casinos, so we break apart the monopoly and power and competitive advantage of what the Golden Triangle has to offer, and we're able to siphon market share and siphon every yuan and dollar capital out of that to go back to your city. And that's something we can also tell Laos, we can tell Myanmar, we can tell them, meaning gambling is chill, it's fine, we're just not cool with all this illegal shit happening. And the point in which we're able to dismantle and break apart that particular demand is exactly where supply, because of business vested interest, is less likely to be able to go. Meaning, in order for there to be bad stuff happening, you need to have demand. But if we're able to break that apart systematically and as a coalition, we're able to have a shot at breaking apart the monopoly that the triangle has. And for all of these reasons, we are very proud to stand on side opposition.